Dr. Shannon Joseph, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I'm really looking forward to this conversation, and we're going to talk about something today that I think is somewhat unfortunate. I think we tend to look at this with a bit of a negative perception, but what I'd like to do today is reframe it because I truly believe that one of the thing we're going to talk about today is potentially one of the biggest opportunities
Mhm.
in eye care practices, and that is re-engaging contact lens dropouts. And when we look at that market, we know contact lens patients spend more. They come back more frequently. They're more loyal to the practice. And something we're going to get into today, I think a lot of times it just starts with having the conversation, finding out what
Absolutely.
happened, and are you still interested in wearing contacts, and how can we make that happen? And before we get into the that discussion and the how around that, I would like to first ask you about the why. And when you look at your patient base, how significant is the contact lens dropout problem for you? And do most practice owners even realize how many of those patients are, I'll call them opportunities, are sitting in the chair right in front of them?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have several practices, and we've talked before. I have a lot of associate doctors that work for me. And a lot of times you would think I wouldn't be in practice, so I wouldn't see these opportunities. But thankfully, I'm still in clinic several days a week. So it's a really easy conversation, basically, that I have with my own team and with my patients because I see it myself. So every day, I'm very active in making sure to ask the questions. Like optometrists are the nicest people. We love talking to our patients. We know what dog they have, how many kids they have, where they're traveling. We're very good at engaging with our patients, and that's never the problem. But I think sometimes we do forget just the basics because we assume our patients are going to tell us. So we just go in, what brings you in today? Cool, you need new glasses, let's go for it. And then, like, oh, how was the weather outside? Or what are your plans? And for the weekend. And we actually just forget some things that patients are not going to complain. And they're definitely not going to talk about things that they did in the past that didn't work out, because to them they think it didn't work out, so that means that's it, I'm done, there, that option has been closed for me. So I'm very, very interactive with my patients, and I do love asking because I love fixing problems. So it's just as easy as fixing their dry eye complaints or fixing the fact that they did used to wear contacts and stopped and finding out why. And it's always fun to be that person that gets to fix it for them. And they're like, oh my God, that's such an easy fix. Or I'm so excited. That's great. Why didn't anyone tell me? I've been coming to the eye doctor for, 20 years since I stopped wearing contacts, or 5 years since I stopped. So I think that's just what's really important. Just because I'm still in clinic half of the week, I do get to see how that interaction goes. And I make sure to speak with my associate doctors about it as well. Cause I'm like, guys, you're amazing. You're all so sweet, so nice, so amazing with the patients. But let's also not forget why we're there is to fix problems for them. And sometimes they don't know what the problem is, or they don't even know technologies have changed. Why would they? They're not watching, commercials on things like this. They're not reading articles. We are. So we're in that space to help them.
I love what you said about fixing problems because I truly used to love that with contact lens patients when they would come in and they'd worn contacts before and they say, well, I tried them, but I stopped wearing them for this reason. We'll get into that. I want to ask you about that. I have an idea because I did practice for many years on what their top reasons are, but there was an assumption, I thought, on behalf of the patients that they couldn't wear them. And without, they didn't even question themselves and they didn't bring it up to the doctor. And the data shows doctors are not bringing up this conversation. That's why I started this saying sometimes it just starts with starting the conversation. But I used to love the look on their face when they would say, no, I stopped wearing them for this reason. And then there was a pause, and I would just say, would you like to wear them again? And there was almost this look of surprise on their face, like, oh, I didn't know I could. And I actually found a lot of time it's getting into it could have been a dry eye issue, and which something else we're going to talk about a little bit. It drives a
Yeah,
whole nother side of your business,
another
raising
part.
that conversation. But
Mhm.
I loved that feeling too. And just that moment where they would look at you and all of a sudden you're the hero. You're like, I didn't even come in here for contacts.
Yeah.
Last three doctors didn't bring it up. I stopped wearing them 10 years ago. I didn't know there was new technology out there. And all of a sudden you're the hero who's gonna fix this problem.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's the best part, right? Like we do what we do because we want to make sure you see, we want to check the health of the eye. There, that part, patients don't come in. caring that you're seeing that they have diabetes in their eyes, if they have tears and holes, like they're coming in for their glasses, for their general eye exam. Like that's what we do. We make sure we do a whole comprehensive. But part of it too is that wow factor that keeps them coming back to us. And also just why not? We know about it. They have no idea what a multifocal contact lens is if no one ever told them. They have no idea that now there's dailies and all these different materials. The last time they wore them was 10 years ago. So it's definitely an opportunity, and it's such an easy opportunity. I tell my associate doctors, I actually met with them yesterday for a dinner, and we were talking about things, which contact lenses was part of the discussion. And I was like, guys, every day I convert at least 2, 3 people into contact lenses exams, and one or two of those, a lot of times, used to wear contacts and stopped. Why are we not having that conversation? It's not just me. There's nothing special about me. It's just making sure that we ask the right questions. So that's just like a really big portion of it too, because the doctors out there are great. It's just we get so, okay, the patient came in, they have this, they want this, and we'll go into that and fix it. But we don't actually fix other problems that they come in and they don't realize that they have.
And do the math on that. I mean, anyone listening to this, take your average revenue per contact lens patient, and you said you're converting on a daily basis 2 or 3
Every day,
people. Well,
easily. Yeah.
do the math over the course of a year. That's not an insignificant amount of revenue back into the practice. And it's real interesting. I don't want to quote the stats because I don't remember them exactly off the top of my head, but there's a considerable percentage of patients who come in who have not worn contacts before, or stopped wearing them, and they're not bringing it up, but surveys actually show that a good percentage of them are highly interested in
Yeah, I
contacts,
think
but
it's
they
50%.
assume,
Mhm.
because you didn't bring it up, they assume that they're not a good candidate for it. And the data also shows that doctors, there's a very low percentage who actually bring it up, who have the conversation with the doctor. And what we sometimes assume to be the latest and greatest, the new technology, the premium, we're thinking of very advanced features, but do you know the patients what they're thinking? Toric lenses, lenses for astigmatism. Wait, I got to put readers on. There's contacts for that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Their version of high end is 10 years ago, but
Yeah.
still, you just even bringing those things up to the patient really elevates you and your knowledge at a level that's very impressive to the average patient.
Yeah, it doesn't take much to wow them because, again, for us, this is just bare minimum. It's the basics. I know about a multifocal lens. You know about the toric lenses. We know that there's XR lenses and there's all this in between and daily lenses. So for us, this is just like so bare minimum in our heads that we don't even think that this is brand new for these patients. Even converting patients who are, in their 45, 46, and they're wearing reading glasses over their contacts, even just converting a current contact lens wearer into a better technology lens, that's an opportunity that's just now you're putting them in a multifocal lens. So if we want to talk about the business, we're talking about, of course, fit fees, we're talking about the contact lens sales, but it's also about that experience. That patient is on the verge of getting to become a dropout patient because they're getting annoyed. Well, I'm just going to wear my progressive glasses because why do I have to find my readers every time now I go out and I'm looking at a menu? Because they're like in that beginning 42, 43 years old, starting to realize it. So now we're also helping so they don't become a dropout patient by giving them the technology they don't know, they will not know. Like how many times does a -2 come in? I'm like, here's a -2 with a plus with a low ad. And they're like, oh, go to Starbucks, let me know how you feel, come back. They come back and they're like, I could see the menu and I could see my phone. I could see what I was paying for. And I'm like, yeah, that's the point, right? So, and that goes for both ways for the new patients into contacts, but also the ones that we can help give them a better quality of vision for their daily activities. So
You should partner up with Starbucks on that too, because it sounds like you're
I should.
generating a lot of
I'm there
coffee
like
sales, but
twice a
that's a
day and I
separate
actually send them.
conversation. Yeah. Hey, I'm sending
They
you
should
guys
be
like 10
paying for my
people a day.
coffee. I'm very
Yeah.
good at sending them business.
I'd like a cut of this. But I want to talk about associates because you brought it up before. And this is where a lot of practice owners, business owners sometimes get a little bit frustrated. And
Absolutely.
I understand the dynamic shift. For somebody who's an owner, they've got a lot of skin in the game. And I think they sometimes are more passionate about having the conversations that are going to drive not just better clinical care, but the business side as well. I mean, people got
Absolutely.
mortgages to pay and kids to feed, and the owner mindset is going to be a little bit different than the employee mindset. I respect that. But at the same time, we have to have those conversations with people on our team. And there's a version of this conversation that could probably sound a little bit salesy. And I think bridging the gap for the people on our team, whether it's optician, whether it's an associate, to be able to have that conversation that might there might be some pushback from them if they feel like it's going to come across as salesy to the patient, whether it is or not. I find that to just be sort of that common objection that they won't even always tell you. They're not going to say, "Doc, I don't want to have this conversation because it's going to be salesy." What they'll do is they just won't do it, or they'll do it
Right.
for a week and then kind of you'll see the numbers drift back to where they were before. So, can you elaborate a little bit more? You said you just had dinner last night. You're obviously in communication with the associates. How are you having these conversations in a way that actually not just gets them to nod their head up and down, but actually drives outcomes?
Yeah, so I mean, I talk about the wow experience. Again, I really adore all my doctors. They're all great with patient care, and so I know for them that is important. It is an important thing to be able to give that patient something that they didn't have or think of. So they're very open when we have these discussions. But also, I like to make it a whole collaborative effort. The person that picks up the phone that makes the appointment, hey, are you looking to do glasses and contact lenses? We can help you with both. Okay, perfect. And then they make the reservation and then they come in, or the appointment, sorry. And then they come in and the tech is pre-testing. So I actually have a questionnaire for the technicians to kind of go over with the patients when they come in about, are you interested in contact lenses? Do you have any irritation to your eyes, any dry eyes? So I try to guide a little bit of it. So by the time the patient goes into the room, they've already heard the word contacts or, whatever complaints they might have, they've already heard it in their head more than once. So when the doctor gets to it, one, they have the questionnaire. So if the patient did say, I am interested, but I didn't think I could wear something, they can't ignore it because it's there. It's part of now their new chief complaint or just why their reason for visit. And then also it makes it so that the patient has already heard it before when they made their appointment, when they were getting pre-tested, when they were waiting, and then when they go to the doctor's room. So it's okay, well, why don't you tell me a little bit more about it? Whether or not they want to convert or they want to do it, but now they're interested, or they at least know, okay, you're going to talk to me about it. Let me see what you have to say. And then we'll go on about like the rest of the visit. And it's a very short conversation. Are you interested? Have you worn? And that's the time when the technicians will see, well, they've worn before, and they'll write little notes like patient wore before, they stopped wearing because of this. Patient wore before like 10 years ago, and they'll like write little notes as well. So the doctor has something before they even see the patient. And also the patient starts to think, like, man, I do miss wearing contact lenses because I'm a rock climber and now I'm rock climbing with, my glasses. And if they fall, I can't see or, whatever activities they do. But so I think that was really an important change as well, is making sure the whole team is on board from the optical side to the pre-testing with the technicians and the doctors. So there isn't this lapse of, okay, now it's the first time I hear this. And if the doctor doesn't want to say it, like you said, it's not that they don't want to be helpful, but they also don't see the initial, like, oh my God, I need to do extra as much as like a business owner will. And that's always going to be there no matter what. But it's also not a sales pitch for them now because you're solving a problem. Oh, you have astigmatism and you think we can't put you in contacts because you heard that 15 years ago they didn't make it to this high. Let me tell you now we do. Or you stopped wearing them because you had put readers all the time and it was annoying. Let me tell you how we could fix that. So now they're fixing a problem and they're not selling a product. And again, the patient doesn't have to do it if they don't want to, but now that conversation started.
You said something there I want to repeat because, in my opinion, you described the secret to, if we were selling, let's just put ourselves in the optical, it'd be kind of the secret to sales. Let's bring it back to the exam room. I would say just the secret to getting actual outcomes. I'm only interested in what action did the patient take? Because I think a lot of doctors get frustrated for good reason, spend a lot of time talking, patient politely nods their head and walks out the door without doing anything. But when you said it gets the patient thinking, and that is such an undervalued secret to getting anyone to do anything, is when you put them in a position of starting to think about the problem. Where we get it wrong so often is we come in, we make assumptions, and we just start talking about the product before we fully understand the problem. But what people need to understand about how the average consumer makes purchase decisions, it doesn't usually start with awareness. And that's, I know doctors love to hang their hat on patient education, but that's not where decisions start. Decisions start with curiosity. I mean, Shannon, when's the last time you made any significant, any purchase of any significant value without asking a few questions first? We get
Right.
curious. So I think
Of course.
perhaps your questionnaire and maybe your text as well start to create some awareness, some knowledge gaps. And you said, oh, from a patient's perspective, yeah, I miss contacts because I used to like rock climbing. It'd be really interesting to be able to do that more. Now you're thinking about the problem, and then you start thinking about a solution. Now
Right.
suddenly you want the information from the doctor, and we don't feel like we're forcing them to listen to us.
Exactly.
But sorry, I get worked up about that because I just think
No.
it's such a small switch, such a small shift in
Yeah.
how we can handle that first few minutes of an encounter that can completely transform the outcome.
And it's so easy. We all have the knowledge. Again, for us, it's bare minimum knowledge. We all know this. We know the different products. We know the different technologies and modalities that we could, fit a patient in. But all of that little extra education, telling the patient all their options, showing them that they have these new and exciting things that they can help them with to help solve a problem for them. That's the part that we have to get everyone on the same page. That's why, like, doing things, like I said, incorporating the optical and the pre-testing and the technicians as well to help with that journey. So when they do reach the doctor side, like you said, they're already thinking, they're like, oh yeah, I did have this problem. I did love wearing them. Or at least when the doctor says it's not like out of nowhere, and even if the doctor does say, like I say, I do it plenty of times. And I'm like, well, I see that you ride your bike and you have all the gear on. What do you wear for that? Do you have prescription sunglasses or do you wear contacts? Sometimes it's just asking them, maybe they do have contacts and they don't know, or yeah, the last time I got them was again like 4 or 5 years ago. I still have a box, but I didn't wear them because they were uncomfortable. And I'm like, okay, tell me why. And then it just starts the conversation, right? So we're already very good at speaking with patients. Again, optometrists love that part. We're very interactive with our patients. So it's just making sure that we also ask those quality questions, because it's not just about what's your favorite color and what, where it is your kid goes to school. It's also about let me fix something for you so that you're excited to come back or at least feel value in your eye exam. And it's not just, okay, I'm a -2 last year, I'm a -2 again this year, I'm a -2 next year. What's the point of going to an eye exam? Like, we're also building value for ourselves when we show patients new technologies and give them solutions to things that they don't even think of.
I like knowing what people's favorite color is.
I do too, but I also ask them about their contacts, and I
Follow
know
up,
how
right?
many kids they
We can't,
have, and I know
we're
where
not
they go.
here just to learn about their favorite color. I hear you. Hey, why are they dropping out? I think, oh, that'll be my assumption. I haven't seen a patient in quite a few years. I mean, or is there anything beyond? My mind immediately goes to discomfort, which
Yeah,
again, 'cause sometimes that drives the dry eye. It could be price. I just hate touching
yeah,
my eye. Did I nail the top three? Or are there other things? Anything that surprises you in your work with doctors, questionnaires, conversations that that
yeah.
we normally wouldn't think of?
I think the biggest thing is, of course, is comfort. No one, no one wants something uncomfortable in their eye. So if they dropped out years ago, way before all these new lenses and dailies and silicone hydrogel with this and that on top of it, they dropped out a long time ago. They weren't given that opportunity to try those technologies. That is all the time, like the number one reason. Also, toric lenses. It's funny to hear how many patients are like, I was told I can't wear contacts because of. So then they completely, so now that patient's never going to ask us, because one person one time, or they misinterpreted, or this was 10 years ago, told them they cannot wear contacts. So I actually hear that a lot because I have the stigma, no stigmatism, but so I can't wear contacts. And I'm like, there's so many contacts. You could wear contacts all the way with this much astigmatism. Like, what do you mean? So it's shocking to me, and I wouldn't even think that, but that's a big reason. So they come in and just, I was told I couldn't, or because I need reading glasses, I was told I couldn't. So it's important, of course, for us doctors to be on top of knowing all the new technologies and everything as well, to be able to offer that. But patients sometimes drop out because they were told to drop out. So if it's not just it's comfort is number one, absolutely. And then dropping out because they were told their prescription no longer was, applicable with contacts. And I think price as well for some patients, we never know, but price on top of glasses and things like that sometimes could be a moment where they drop out and then they forget to go back into it when they can, if they had a bad year or something like that.
It's crazy that we still hear that from other doctors because there's like three people on earth who truly can't wear contacts. But yeah, no, it's out, and
Yeah.
this is what I'm talking about. People make assumptions, and sometimes maybe the last doctor was part of the reason if they were
Yeah.
told, and maybe they just had a complicated fit, and the doctor didn't want to do it. I hate to say it, but that's probably more likely than an OD actually being unaware that they make a
Absolutely.
prescription for almost anybody.
For anything, there's like I said,
There's
I hear
something,
it way too often. So I'm like, what do you mean? We could literally do everything. And if we really, really couldn't, there's still an option for you if we want to do into specialty lenses. So but the amount of like small prescriptions, again, multifocal lenses, there's some doctors just won't fit them. They just don't fit them. And
so
I'm like, well, that will make a patient never want to ask again if they think that
right,
they
right.
don't have that.
Yeah. And why would you question it? You would just assume I'm not a candidate.
Yeah.
Um, where do you stand on this? So when we look at some of the common objections, which you're probably the top two you hit on, comfort and price, there's a feeling of risk. Now, I've seen some doctors that are very flexible in their policies. I just where I come from, I think anytime we have to understand that consumer in any industry is going to be risk averse, and they have to understand and see a clear path to the value. And the more little potholes along the way, the less likely they are to do it. Our brain is really quick to say, hold on, let's not do this right now. There's a boulder and a pothole up there that I haven't figured out yet. So the more we can clear the path with that. So some
Yeah.
doctor, and I'm respect both sides, so no judgment here, but some doctors I've worked with are very flexible with their policy. I mean, one comes to mind who has tremendous contact lens sales, and he says we offer everybody. He's talking, I guess, new patients, new contact lens wearers, people that have dropped out. He goes, we offer everybody a free trial, and we say free, and it doesn't take any time. We have a staff member put the lens in, and they just try it out. If they don't like it, we take it back out. If they are happy or want to explore the next level, we'll set them up for a follow up. And then I've seen other doctors take a real rigid stance and say, nope, my time, it's my staff time. We're not going to touch anybody unless there's a fee up front. And where do you stand on that? I mean,
Yeah,
are you
so
more of
that's
the,
difficult
go ahead.
because of that what you just said, the time. So we have to, we have to value our time. So that's the whole point of having a difference between a contact lens exam and a glass exam. I'm not opposed to the first idea though at all. That I have done it for some patients. I don't think doing it on every patient is feasible in most offices unless you see one patient every, you know, hour, which is not usually the case, just because it does take time. Because now you're taking your tech away and putting in the contact lens and taking it out yourself and making sure. But it's not a bad idea. It's actually a great business builder. And I've seen that before. I've seen it with even, let's just try this multifocal lens. Go look at glasses while you have this on. I take the next patient and then they'll come back to me. I'm like, so how'd you feel? Like, is it something you'd be interested in? So I have done it. So I think in baby steps and pieces, you can do something like that. But of course, it's not, I don't think, feasible for everybody and in every practice to be able to take that much time in every patient. But it's not a bad idea. It's actually a really great way because you're showing the patient. So nothing works better than actually seeing it. So also, and letting patients know if this doesn't work, then we'll try something else too. So if they're doing the exam and they're going through the fit, and then we try something and you come back in a week for a follow-up, you also, like you said, have to worry about that fear of like, what if I don't like it? And what if this doesn't work? We'll try more than one trial. It's not just one and done and you're out of the door, right? So we'll try more than one today. We'll try more than one at your follow up if we need to. We don't want to try 100 lenses, but we know how to troubleshoot when we try a lens. We know what our go to lenses are and for what patients and situations why we use them. And we're pretty good at having success rate on the first shot to begin with. So that patient, it might take 2 or 3 trials, like a multifocal fit that's a little bit more complicated, or you need to make a mini monovision multifocal combination or something like that. But you have to give that patient that ability to know that, okay, if I'm not super happy the first time, the doctor's willing to work with me. And I'll tell patients all the time, like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here all day. So if you want, go walk around a little bit, come back. That way you can tell me what you love and don't love about it. So before you leave here today, if I need to tweak it, I'll tweak it. And then you come back in a week and tell me how you liked it. So again, I think it's a way of modifying what you just said, of doing a little bit of the first and a little bit of the second and putting it together in a more feasible way for most of our clinics that see, a couple patients an hour. But taking that ease off for that patient to not feel nervous of trying something that they failed out of 10 years ago is also a really great idea.
I think I overgeneralized my explanation before. I'm pretty sure he doesn't offer it necessarily to everybody, but he vets them out. And if you're a candidate, and then he asks, is it something you might want to try? And then he'll have a staff member put it in. But it just removes that barrier of,
Yeah.
especially with somebody who dropped out, they dropped out for a reason. And if it was discomfort, they need to feel it before they're going to commit
Yeah.
to even a contact lens fitting. So it's just his approach. And I respect anyone who doesn't want
Yeah,
to
I think it's
go
it's
that
a great
route.
idea. So like anything, a little bit of both, right? I definitely think, especially if he's not doing it to every patient, because again, time wise, but I think it's always a great idea to be able to show it. Just like I'll do with parents who are Plano and their kids are -4s, and I'll show them what it feels like to be a -4 for their kid, and they always have this huge reaction. Like we do these type of things in clinic because we're trying to prove our point. Saying things is difficult, right? We say it like, yes, it's going to be more comfortable. I promise dailies are better, or this is better. Like until they feel it, they don't know it. Or, just like those parents, I'm like, until you know that your kid really can't see, when they lose their glasses, it's kind of a serious thing. Like they cannot see the board. Let me show you. Because they don't understand. They're like, he's just lying, or I'm like, no, but I could show you. And I'll show it to them. And they're like, oh my gosh. So, like you said, a patient seeing and feeling and understanding it versus just hearing it out loud and listening to it is so different. So giving them that opportunity to try it is a great idea.
Yeah, and there's a saying that goes, and I believe this to be true, proof always trumps claims. And so I think it's just a matter of giving them the proof that they need. Again, the human brain is very skeptical of things, and when we hear claims, we are quick to try to discount them. And it's a reason, when you go to look at a car, they're so eager to get you in the car, in the driver's seat, take it for a test drive. It's why companies always send you free trials. Try it out. Don't take our word for it. Try it out. It's the same with contacts. If you're comfortable with it, is again, my only experience is I wore them 5 years ago and they were really uncomfortable. And you want how much for a contact lens fitting? So he'll let them just try them on and kind of see how they feel. But
Yeah,
it's proving something that until then you've just been making
right.
claims, which they're going to be more skeptical about. And
Absolutely.
what impressed me the most was the outcomes he got, not so much his strategy. Strategy is great. It's just something you write down on a
But that
cocktail napkin.
explains the
Though
outcome.
it was like 65% of the people
Yeah,
he put these lenses in. And keep in mind, these are people that did not come in for contact lenses or even asking about contacts. And it was something like 65% of those patients converted to contacts just by putting them in the eye. So again, run the math on that over the course of a year. Um,
exactly.
and speaking of math, some quick numbers. I'm just curious if you track anything like this, or if you would agree any similarities in your practice. But the difference between a contact lens patient and spectacle only patients on average, and there's a few different sources out there. They vary a little bit, but they're in this ballpark on all of them. About 20 come back about 28 months for glasses
Hmm.
only
Yeah,
patients. Spectacle only contact lenses every 14 months.
right.
So over a 10-year span, it was for spectacle only 4.3 times over 10 years, 8.6 times over 10 years. And keep in mind, we are in a time right now where more patients are foregoing these kind of expenditures.
Absolutely.
So they're getting by longer with glasses.
Hmm.
Capture rates in opticals have now dipped below 50%, and more people than ever are using their own frames. They're coming in and saying, just put lenses in these old frames. And a lot of that has to do with the economy, and people are
Right.
feeling tighter budgets. If you're in an area that you're not feeling that, good for you. But I can tell you with certainty that I'm hearing it more and more from practices all over the country. Contact
Absolutely.
lenses, unless you're going to stretch them out a little bit, maybe people do some of that too. But if that's your primary source of vision, you sort of have to come back. That's not
Yeah,
just a luxury, it's I need to see. So
right.
again, when we look at the numbers, there's a much greater frequency of visits and the long-term value. Contact lenses on average generate 95% more gross profit over a 10-year period. So again, these are not insignificant numbers from a business
No,
standpoint.
absolutely. I mean, it makes a huge difference. Like you said, we see them twice as much as we see glasses wearers. And on the sales side, contact lens wearers actually do purchase more. So not just their contacts, they actually purchase glasses more often as well. So it's this misconception, I'm not going to get a sale as well if you're talking about the sales aspect. They do purchase glasses. It might not be like the fanciest frame for each time, but because we educated the importance and everything like that, and usually have promotions on the second pairs, they do also do get more on the optical side. But for us on the doctor side, we see them more often. One, because we have to, and they don't have a choice to come back, like you said. But when their contacts run out, then they just automatically they remember they have to come in to get an exam. Versus glasses, if my glasses didn't break, I'm not going to remember. Nothing's going to prompt me to go get an eye exam in a year. Even though we send reminders, it's not as important because I can still see tomorrow if I put my glasses on. I can't see tomorrow if I don't have contacts left. So that's a very significant number. It's double, right? It's a huge difference. It's not like a little, okay, we see one or more. Two. No, it's not a small percentage. It's another reason we're building our businesses, we're building retention. It keeps your patients coming back more to you versus going somewhere else as well. So retention is important in many different ways. So yeah, those statistics are very, very eye-opening.
We alluded before to the discomfort factor with contact
Mhm.
lenses and why they dropped out. And I think dry eye is a
Yeah.
can be very closely associated with this. And that's what I actually found when I was practicing, because they would say, well, they're not comfortable. It could be other things, but we kind of make the assumption there could be some dry eye going on there. And that's what I would just say. I wouldn't even get into that. I just say, would you like to try contacts again? And, their eyes would light up. But I also found that it drove the dry eye side of the business as
Absolutely.
well. Has that been your experience too?
Yeah, of course. That's another part of our business. So now we're also focusing on increasing the medical side of and treatment side in our business, not just the contact lenses. So there's just so many parts where this continues to come down and help the doctors and help the clinic succeed. So absolutely, if we have to treat your dry eye before we put you in contact lenses or at the same time of, we will. And whether it's with treatment or drops or a regimen, and then teaching you how to take care of your eyes better so the contacts are more comfortable, that's again another value to you as the doctor for this patient that was coming in that's a -2 glasses and this coming in again with another -2. You're building so much more value and making that patient want to see you again. And also building revenue for the clinic and for yourself if you're the doctor. But daily contacts are great. They weren't in dailies before, but before we put you in that, let's take care of this, blepharitis. Let me take a look at this condition. Let's explain what's going on or why. And so it's definitely another practice builder. And again, another reason that we are doing what we're doing is to help fix problems. That's another question on my questionnaire because a lot of patients are not going to come in and complain. They're looking at me with red eyes, like their eyes are bloodshot red. I'm like, are you comfortable? Like they're so used to it. They don't even know to complain. They don't even realize that, they're not going to complain about it. They're coming in for their glasses. I'm like, are your eyes okay? Like, do you feel okay having your eyes red? Is there a reason for it? Do you use drops? Like, so a lot of times if you don't ask, they're not going to say anything.
Yeah, that's such a great point too. The questions we ask draw things out of people. And again, as a doctor, a clinician, our job is literally to help people. And we can't help but we don't know. And there's so many things that patients just won't tell us. So asking the impactful questions that get people to share. And Shannon, I want to close out here with the question. You're obviously very passionate about this. And how does it feel? I think as doctors, sometimes I know I felt it when I was practicing at times, as we get into that routine and the work just sort of feels very mundane and ritual. But then there's those patients we feel like we really made a difference with. We really made an impact. And I think this is potentially one of those categories. But how does it feel when you treat a patient who came in just for another pair of glasses, wasn't even thinking about contacts, wanted contacts, it was a big part of their lifestyle, thought they couldn't wear them, and you're able to deliver on that and get them back into contacts. And obviously, they're very appreciative. I never had one that wasn't like, oh, thank you so much. I didn't know I could do this. But for you, how does that feel?
Yeah, I love what I do. This is, one of the things that drives us in general to go to work is loving what you do. And I love the patient care aspect, but getting that wow, getting that referral from the patient because you were that best doctor for them, being told that, the last 5 years, no one told me this before, and you're the first one. That's amazing. I'm going to send my neighbor and my friend and my coworkers. So it's besides the fact that it's building my business and it's building, that part, which is great. It's that feeling of like, that's awesome. Like, I'm so happy you're happy. They're like, I can go on my cruise tomorrow and see with my sunglasses and read my book on by the pool. And they get so excited and they tell you everything about, their plans. And they're just like, why didn't anyone else tell me this? I don't want to be that doctor. I don't want to be the one that next year they go somewhere and they're like, why didn't my doctor last year tell me this? And I hear it every day, many times a day. And that's what I do not want. I don't want to be that person. I want to be the one that's like, my doctor was the one who solved this problem for me or gave me this whole new lease on like vision. And I'm so excited and it's amazing. And so, like I said, I have amazing patients. And I think part of it is just because we connect so well. And it just makes me so happy to be able to give that wow experience or give them a solution. Yeah. So that's for me.
It is how you get referrals. It sure is the wow experience. And you know who's not getting a referral? The one who didn't tell them. They're
Yeah.
not going back to their doctor and they're going to go tell three friends and two relatives about you because you did something that they didn't expect.
Yeah.
You what violated their expectations or whatever that term is. So yeah, no, great point. It's such a great practice builder. So many people reach out with great questions. Should I buy this $80,000 piece of equipment? Should I start a specialty? And they're all good questions, but so often I see the low-hanging fruit that's right there with almost any practice, and this is one of those areas. So thank you so
It's
much for sharing all that with us
Thank
today.
you. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks to Dr. Shannon Joseph, and thanks everyone for listening. We will see you next time on the next episode of I Own a Business.